Alright, here we are. Not really stream, just gonna be doing it this way because it's a bit easier. Takes a lot less time so I can still get a deck profile up for you guys. This is, just gonna be going over the silvers and what I think of them for Arena. Because I already did the golds. If you want to watch that one, it's probably on my channel somewhere since I have it loaded there. But we'll get right into this. We got Last Wish first. Look at 2 random cards from your deck, then play one. This card will be pretty decent in, arena mode because it's deck searching, deck filtering, especially unless you have like a crap ton of dead cards. I mean, it's not the greatest choice, but it's a safe one. So there's just bad choices, and so it'll probably do you some good. But there's most likely going to be better. Decoy next, replay bronze or silver ally and boosted by 3. If you have anything, if you drafted anything with a good gold, this thing will be great because you get to repeat its deployability and boost it by 3. That's really better than the golds in most cases. Half the power of all bronzes and silvers on a row for Marigold's Hailstorm. This card is, this one pretty safe pickup because I mean, you're going to be playing random units and it's going to mostly come down to power. So Marigold's Hailstorm will probably net you a decent amount of value, though there's other cards that will probably net you more. Then we get into the risky weather. Of course, Skellige Storm, I wouldn't pick this up. It's a weather card and you play it and then they clear skies and you're sad. But I mean, if you get a ton of weather cards, maybe. If you just draft like a whole weather deck, but then you're going to run into the problem where you have too many weathers. So I don't think weather is going to be that great in draft mode, but we'll find out. Just because mages, like, we'll get into mages in a minute, they're going to be like the best card to draft. DM Bomb, reset all boost units on a row. Probably not that great, since you can't reset your injured units with it. There's going to be some boosting decks probably, and like every deck's probably going to have a boosting card at least, but you're not going to get that much value out of it. They only have like one boosting card, so for consistency, probably not that good. White Frost again, weather, clear skies, mages, you lose. Commander's Horn boosts 5 adjacent units by 3. It is a 15 power silver, but in draft mode, 15 power could be pretty decent. And I mean, if you don't have another card that's going to net you more than 15 power, then pick this up, of course, and try to play 5 adjacent units. Shouldn't be that hard. Then we got Ulzur's Double Cross. Boost the highest bronze or silver unit in your deck by 2, then play it. This one's tricky, because it really depends on how your deck's going. Because if your highest unit is something good, then yeah, it's going to be awesome. But if you're running a disloyal unit, like disloyal units might be good, but they might be really risky since Final State is probably not going to matter as much in arena mode, since not everybody's going to have that tech igni or whatever to deal with you. So if you don't have a disloyal unit, probably worth the pickup. Manticore Venom, deal 13 damage. Yeah, it's 13 power. Can kill off pretty much anything. But I mean, you gotta have a 13 power unit to even get to 13 power. This thing's crap in standard and it's gonna be, yeah, in draft mode. Scourge, destroy all the highest units. This one is another one that really risky to pick up. I mean, even if you have a deck with a bunch of low units, then you run into that opponent with a bunch of low units, it might be alright. Because I mean, you can always play it round 1 when they drop their first unit and you just scorch it. But it is a silver slot. Well, not a silver slot, it's just a silver. You can probably find something better. Same with Becker's Dark Mirror. Transfer up to 10 power between the highest and lowest units. Unless you got like a bunch of 1 power units, like you drafted a bunch of Slaynal Harpies or something, somehow, then Becker's Dark Mirror probably isn't going to get you much. Reinforcements, play a bronze, silver, soldier, machine, officer, or support unit from your deck. This will be really good. This is going to be a great card in draft mode, because you're bound to pick up one of those options, and this will thin it out of your deck, like a soldier, machine, officer, or support. There's plenty of those. Monster's Nest, play a bronze necrophage or insectoid unit and boost it by 1. You have the ghoul in here, which makes it worth it, for sure. Ghoul will be great. Barbagazi, too, is another good option, so Monster's Nest is another really good pickup, in my opinion, because just for those 2 options. Then Nature's Gift, play bronze or silver special card from your deck. I don't know. You're going to need at least like 3 or 4 special cards for this thing to be worth it, I think. Or maybe 2. Because, I mean, if you end up with a special card in your hand, then this card's just a dead card for you. Restore, return a bronze or silver Skellige unit from your graveyard to your hand, add Doom category to it, and set space power to 8, then play a card. Well, without the class limitations, I mean, maybe if you pick up that Beastmaster, then it'd be worth it. But besides that, this thing, you're going to need a Skellige unit in your graveyard for this to work, and since it's not class limited, like, unless you pick up a bunch of low power Skellige units, this thing's going to be a bad one. Treason, force 2 adjacent enemies to duel each other. Card might be alright in draft mode situation, not going to net you the best value, but it can probably net you some decent value at least. So there's that, but I mean, if you have the choice between Treason, Restore, and Becker's Twisted Mirror, I'd probably go with Treason. Marching orders boost the lowest bronze or silver unit in your deck by 2, then play it. This card will probably be pretty good because it's deck thinning, and deck thinning is always really good and gives you +2 on your lowest bronze unit. Unless your lowest bronze unit is something you really don't like, then this card is going to be good. Necromancy, banish bronze or silver unit from either graveyard, boost an ally by its power. It's going to be bad. It's not even ran in standard anyway. But some cards that aren't ran in standard are ran in draft mode usually. This one, I don't think is going to be one of them. You have to banish bronze or silver unit, and then you just get its power. Unless they have power unit, and the chances of that happening is not that great. Summoning Circle, spawn default copy of bronze or silver non-aging unit placed on the board. This card is going to be great. Just copy their best unit that they play from their deck, or one of the really good units, because they're going to draft at least one good unit, right? So Summoning Circle can be good if you do that. Just don't use it on any of their crappy units. And who knows, maybe the unit that you grab with this will be better in your deck than your opponent's. Artifact Compression, transform bronze or silver unit into Jade Figurine. Not that great. I mean, Elzur's Thunder and stuff will just take care of any damaging units you have. Will be better than Artifact Compression. It's not like you're going to be fighting a fully built consume deck in draft mode, so. Mandrake, choose one heal unit and strengthen it by 6, or reset a unit and weaken it by 6. This is dependent on how your draft's going. If you got a bunch of resurrecting stuff, then yeah. If you don't, then just counting on it, resetting a unit and weakening it by 6 is not going to be that great. Pit Trap, apply a hazard to an enemy row that deals 3 damage to units on contact. You basically got to think of this as a lacerate, because that's what it's going to work as, because mages are going to be one of the best cards to draft, so Weathers, I don't think Weather's going to work. Expired Ale, deals 6 damage to the highest enemies on each row, great card. It's 18 value silver. That's probably one of the best ones to draft is Expired Ale. Just because, I mean, besides Runestones, just because that's 18 power. That's good enough. Create a silver Skellige card. Skellige has some alright choices, but I mean, like things like Sigdrifa and Skajal, unless you have a cursed unit or a clan unit to res, it's going to be a dead drop. Probably not the best of the Runestones. I think the best one is either going to be Northern Realms or Nilfgaard's Runestone. Because Northern Realms, you have things like Prince Stennis, you have the guy who can eat all boosts from your deck. You have a decent amount of choices with this Runestone. And Nilfgaard, you have things like the Empress, which they don't have a lock, that's instant value, but that is still risky. Still have things like Seelick, which can get you an Assassin. Monsters Runestone, definitely not. Monsters have the worst silvers to pick from unless you have a dedicated deck. Murana Runestone, Silver Scully Tell card. You got a lot of dwarf support in there, so I mean, if you get a bunch of dwarfs in your draft, it might be worth trying to pick this up. If you don't, you have a pretty high chance of getting dead dropped. Becker's Rock Slide, deal 2 damage to up to 10 random enemies. This is a great one. 20 power silver. If they have 10 enemies out, which shouldn't be too hard. There should be a round where they have 10 enemies out, I'm thinking. Because they're going to draw some swarming cards. And I mean, even if this thing hits 8 units, it's a 16 power silver. It'll be alright. I think Expired Ale is more consistent, and you only lose out on 2 power from it. So Expired Ale is going to be better, but Rock Slide's not that bad. Glorious Hunt if losing a spawn and Pyromanticore if winning spawn and Manticore Venom. Really bad. 13 power silver. Either way. And you're not going to be running hand buff Nilfgaard. So it's like such a situational card when you want to run that. Dragon's Dream, apply hazard to an enemy row that will explode and deal 4 damage to all units when a different special card is played. This can actually be pretty good. Because even if they have the Clear Skies, when they go to pop Clear Skies, it's going to blow up anyway before the Clear Skies activates. So they can't stop it. So as long as you have some special cards, this thing will probably net you some decent value. You need it to hit 4 units for it to be a 16 power silver, which in my opinion is really strong in draft mode. So this card will be pretty good if you drafted some specials. Garsing, create a bronze or silver unit from your opponent's starting deck and boost it by 2. This thing is so risky because it'll be better later in the draft when you're facing decks that have better cards. But at the beginning, like this thing, if they drafted a bunch, got unlucky and got a bunch of crafty drafts, then this thing's not going to grab you anything good. And you're going to boost it by 2, okay, but if it's like a Hawker Smuggler, a Foglet, and something else, then you're not going to be too happy. Ornamental Sword, create a bronze or silver Skellige unit and strengthen it by 3. This card won't be too bad. I mean, best case scenario, get Blue Boy Lugos, and that'll be crazy. And even if you don't, you can still get like 13 power probably on average on this, 13, 14. If you get really bad drops like the Archer or something. Yeah, he's like 14 with an Ornamental Sword. Same with Makamar Horn. Create a bronze or silver dwarf or strengthen a unit by 7. Bronze or silver dwarf. Again, you're going to need dwarf support for this to be really good. So if your draft somehow got lucky and got a bunch of Scully-Tail dwarfs, then I'd run this, but not the no. Oh wow, I skipped one because I don't own it. Vandergrift's Blade. Destroy a bronze or silver enemy cursed enemy or deal 9 damage, and if the unit was destroyed, banish it. It's not worth it. You're not going to have to be worrying about Morkvarg geared all the time. So you best, which, I mean, yeah, every deck's probably going to end up with at least one cursed unit, but it's not going to net you that much killing it. Parasite, deal 12 damage to an enemy or boost an ally by 12. It's worse than Manticore Venom. Don't play it. I don't know why they ever made this card. Cadaverine, choose one, deal 2 damage to an enemy and all the units that share its categories, or destroy a bronze or silver neutral unit. You could actually use a secondary effect in draft mode most likely, because they're bound to probably draft at least one neutral unit. But it's, again, just destroying a neutral unit is not going to net you much value, and they're not going to be having a bunch of units with the same categories. Unless they draft a bunch of soldiers, but counting on that, you want consistency, not like things that are just going to be like killer against one certain guy who happened to draft a bunch of soldiers. Black Blood, create any bronze or silver necrophage or vampire, or destroy a bronze or silver necrophage or vampire. This is going to be better than the other ones. Not the best, but it's going to be alright, because the necrophage vampires that you can spawn aren't too bad. And then, yeah, you can kill a bronze or necrophage or vampire, but that's not that great. I mean, you can get Catacon, Algul. There's a couple good choices. Ekimara is not the best, but Ekimara is still 11. That's a pretty bad silver. It's not the best, but it's better than things like Markham Horn. Nilfgaardian Gate, play a bronze or silver officer from your deck and boost it by 1. Again, you're going to need officers, a couple officers, for this to be worth it. Doo-doo. Copy the power of an enemy. You just basically tie your opponent for a play with your silver slot. This one might be a sleeper card. I don't think it's going to be that great, but it might actually be really good. I don't know. Because, I mean, if they end up with some higher units, because they're not so afraid of things like Constant Igni or Constant Scorch, and they drafted a Hegemer or something, then yeah, you get 25 power, you catch right back up. But their deck, again, just runs a bunch of low power units. It's not going to help you out much. Prize winning cow, Deathwish, spawned short on this unit's row. What happened to my premium Fringile? Okay, now I'm mad, but spawned short on this unit's row. Not that great. If he could carry over, then yeah, if Death Wish still worked like carryover, it'd be good, but besides that, like the deck that you build this around is such troll and so fun. Combi, it pretty much only works in combi and strengthening decks. Frangile, copy the power from the unit to the left to the unit to the right. Nope. Bad card. Dorangary, create any bronze or silver beast or Draconoid. If he grabs you a Myrtaprak, that'd be really good. He's alright, not the best silver. Put him mid tier probably, just because he can create you something, and that could end up being really good. Or it could end up being really bad when you get like a Forktail, and that's your best option. Sheetroll Vergen, play a bronze Death Wish unit from your deck, consume it, and boost self by its power. Only if you drafted a Necrophage, pretty much. Necrophage is going to be the best thing for her to eat. Yeah, Rakkus Spore and everything, like, what, that's 12 power silver? No. Barclay, you need dwarfs, or this thing does you nothing. So, if you're drafting dwarfs and you actually manage to pick up, like, a couple dwarfs, then yeah. If not, I mean, if you did, then this thing's going to be great. If not, this thing's going to be totally dead. Celix, spawn Ambassador, and Assassin or Emissary. This guy's going to be awesome. Because, I mean, the plus 10's not the greatest. You can sort of save yourself with some things, maybe, in some situations. The Assassin can take care of anything, then the Emissary's deck then gives you your bronze unit, so he's probably going to be pretty good just because he has some decent choices for different situations. Iris, boost 5 random units on the opposite row by 5. If you have a decent amount of damaging units, this thing's going to be amazing. 25 power silver. Well, 22 if you hit for exactly 3 damage. Still, Iris is pretty busted right now. It just doesn't see much play because you can't constantly kill her, but some decks do still run her, and she's a pretty big power play. It's going to be really good if you have a deck that can actually deal with her. Probably play her round 3, because round 1, if you drop an Iris, they're just going to pass you. Same with Sabrina. Set the power of all units on a row to the power of the lowest unit on the row. This one's going to be harder to pull off than Iris, of course. But it could be alright. I mean, if they have any 1 power unit on the row or anything, or you have some movement shenanigans in your draft, then this thing can net you some pretty good value. But besides that, it's really situational. Prince Dennis, amazing. Play a random non-spawning bronze or silver unit from your deck and give it 5 armor. Yes. He thins out a silver or a bronze. Gives you armor on it. That's great. Return each player's lowest bronze or silver unit to their deck. There's like no situation. You can't even make... I want to make a deck around her, but there's not like any low power unit that would be really good in my deck and then not help my opponent, because low power units usually have pretty good effects. Sigdrifa, resurrect a bronze or silver clan unit. If you have clan units, amazing. If not, really bad, of course, because it's a bricked card. And I mean, if you actually drafted that bronze Skellige card, that when he reses he gets to do more damage, she would be pretty good too. Hittori, resurrect a lower equal bronze or silver Skolitoll unit. Sadly, he's locked into the Skolitoll faction, so you need to have Skolitoll units that are 3 power or less, because you're not going to have a hand buff deck. Really, really risky to play. He's probably going to be harder to pull off than the Sigdrifa. Sabrina, resurrect a bronze curse unit. This is going to be the best one, I think, because curse units, there's plenty of bronze cursed units for her to choose from. I wonder if there's more clan units or cursed units. Still, they added a bunch of cursed units this patch, and it was, I think, somewhat for draft mode. This card can probably be pretty good. I mean, even if you have that 2 power that searches out a special, bronze special, or that guy that gets to spawn more of himself whenever you play a spell, though that one you probably wouldn't be on draft in the first place. Can't wait for the day that somebody plays Iris in arena mode, and then you have that 8 power guy who transforms transforms a cursed unit into a copy of himself. I'd pick that up probably just to deal with an Iris that'll randomly come up. I had that happen to me in normal mode, and I was like, really? I didn't even realize she was cursed until they did that. Just turned my Iris into an 8 power play for themselves. Resurrect a non-support or bronze dwarf. Yeah, again, dwarfs. Any class dedicated cards, unless you're drafting and you somehow actually drafted like a whole class, it's not going to work. So you have, again, in the silvers, you have a decent amount of cards that can just be dead drafts. Like golds, there's quite a few in golds. At least silvers, there's more useful ones, or ones that won't brick as easy. Like Combi's just a straight up dead draw. Same with Siri Nova in the golds if you get those choices. Whenever you play a gold unit from your hand, summon this unit, this guy will be really good. I mean, if you don't have a better choice, he's deck thinning. He's a 4 power, and you can draft more than 4 golds. They said there's going to be a lot of golds in arena mode like a while back, so probably going to be pretty easy to thin your roach out of your deck. Vandermarker, Spawn, Biting Frost, Pendulum Fog, or Azur's Thunder. The Azur's Thunder play to deal with anything's nice. Just in case you run into a greedy deck. And I mean, he's 13 power silver, not the greatest, not the best, but he's all outrageous because he has an answer to things with Azur's Thunder. Like, he's one tiered below mages. Sile de Tarnersville, play bronze or silver special card from your hand, then draw a card. If you have a couple of special cards, Sile will be amazing in draft mode. That's such a good card. It's like it's a mini roach and a free special play. Death Mold, he's a mage. These are going to be the best. Spawn Torrential Rain, Clear Skies, or Azur's Thunder. You got Azur's Thunder on this guy to deal with any engine that your opponent's trying to run. And then you got Clear Skies for those people who are trying to run weather. And Clear Skies will just shut them down. So, and you can draft multiple mages. Like, there's 5 mages, so that's 5 Clear Skies. And they usually have the best options with like their other choices like Azur's Thunder. That's a good one. Whoa, they changed her name again? Morntart. Consume all bronze and silver units in your graveyard and boost self by 1 for each. So if you end up with 12 units in your graveyard, that's pretty hard to do. And I mean, it's probably going to be killed off because there's plenty of damaging units now. It's probably not going to wait. Oh no, it doesn't. It doesn't have a timer anymore. So it might be alright if you end up with a bunch of units that aren't doomed, that can actually go into your graveyard. I have to try something else with that now that she doesn't have a timer. Abaya, Spawn Torrential Rain, Clear Skies, or Arachis Venom. Again, she's a mage. She's amazing. Clear Skies, and Arachis Venom makes her 16 power silver even if you don't have to do the Clear Skies. One of the better mages. Marilyn? Marilorn? Play a bronze Death Wish unit from your deck. You need Death Wish units, which most Death Wish units suck alone, so you don't want to be drafting them in the first place, so you're probably not going to be picking up this guy. Ida, a mean ape Sivne. I definitely butchered that one. Pendulum Fog, Clear Skies, or Azur's Thunder. She's just as good as... Where is he? Death Mold. She's Death Mold, and she's just another mage. I'd pick up any mage. Like, if you have a choice to pick up a mage, I'd pick it up. Gremist is probably the worst mage. Blood Curdling Roar, Clear Skies. You need a 1 power unit for that Blood Curdling Roar to be really good. And that's going to be trickier to pull off. But he's definitely the worst mage. Only thing I'd pick over a mage is maybe a Machimail if you don't have one yet. Venomer, Spawn, Biting Frost, Clear Skies, or Shrike. Shrike, deal 2 damage up to 6 random enemies. That's another 16 power mage. He's one of the best. Abaya and Venomer would be the best mages to grab. And then Ida, Death Mold is the next one, and then Gremist will be the worst. Malane, deal 6 damage to the units at the end of a row. She's not too bad, 16 power silver. She's worth the pickup, for sure. I mean, as long as they play a 6 power unit on each end, unless people really start playing around that. I guess in the higher ranks, it should be harder to pull off. Has full value, but it shouldn't be too hard to get yourself 12 value for the early games. She's going to be really good in the early, and then worse on later. But I mean, if she's your best choice, pick her up. Create a bronze or Create a bronze Nilfgaardian soldier. With my luck, I probably wouldn't pick up this guy unless he was one of my only good choices. But I mean, he can create some pretty decent things. Just, I'd probably brick and get crap. So I don't like that one. Lambert, summon Eskel and Vesmir, no. You're not getting Eskel and Vesmir. Somebody will prove me wrong and just take the risk and prove and grab Eskel one time in Vesmir and then actually get the full Witcher combo. Which it wouldn't even be that great, so don't draft any of these guys or the Crones. Operator, make a default copy of a bronze unit in your hand for both players. This is usually made to cheese decks, like reverse hunters and stuff when your opponent doesn't run them. So unless you got a couple reaver hunters or something that'll be dead to your opponent and good for you. Like in every situation is pretty much dead to your opponent and good for you, which is not gonna happen that often. Then yeah, he's a bad one. He's basically 5 power silver. If losing, strengthen himself up to a maximum 15 until scores are tied. It's horrible. Even if you get the maximum of 15, he's a 15 power silver. And that's only alright. And since it makes you tie, like they can just pass you after. Like if you go first and you drop this guy, you tie the game back up, then they pass you, then you have to go 1 card down. Or 2 cards down, rather. Lubberkin. It's Lubberkin, that's right. Summon a botchling. I don't know. No. The botchling, you have to draft the botchling and the Lubberkin for this to work. And that's... No, you shouldn't be drafting botchling unless you plan on picking up the Lubberkin. Your chances of getting both of them not happening. Nuclear spawn Moonlight. Moonlight could be pretty good. This guy be decent. Apply a full moon boon or apply a blood moon hazard. He's basically 5 with a mini lacerate if you play it that way. So he's not the worst. Cynthia will be pretty good. Give you a little bit of info of what the highest unit that your opponent has is. And with it being draft mode, sometimes they're going to have to pick up just like a Nilfgaardian Knight or something because it's going to be their best choice. And then she's going to reveal that it's going to be 17. Like even if she reveals an 8, then she's a 13. That's alright, but if they draft a Disloyal, which everybody's going to try to pick up one Disloyal, then that's 18. She'll probably be pretty good. Jerome DeWitt. Play the top non-spying bronze or silver unit from your deck and boost it by 10. Risky, but can be really good just like he is in normal mode. Because if he grabs you that unit that you don't want him to grab yet, yeah, that's going to suck. But it's +5 on your next card, which is crazy good. So I'd most likely risk it and pick him. So could you all play a random bronze or silver curse unit from your deck? He's going to be pretty good. He's +5 on a random cursed unit. There's tons of cursed units in the game right now. So he's going to work out for you. As long as, I mean, I wouldn't pick him up unless you drafted a cursed unit first, but you're probably going to see a cursed unit. Like if this guy was my best choice for my first pick on a card, I'd pick him up because I'm most likely going to see some sort of cursed unit throughout the draft. Play a bronze machine from your deck. You have to have the machine first. Chance of seeing machine is less than the cursed unit. So if you have a machine already, yeah, pick him up. +5 on a machine play. That's pretty good. Unless you got a Maganel. That'd be pretty bad. Pavico Gale. Play a bronze or silver item from your deck. He can be pretty good. As long as you draft an item, again, any of these searching cards, as long as you have the card that they pick out, will be pretty good because they're more tempo on it. Next we got Azrael. He's called Azrael now. Consume a bronze or silver unit from either graveyard and boost it by its power. There's going to be something good in somebody's graveyard. Most cases. Because there's a decent amount of high power units, and sometimes just the straight up power unit is going to be the best unit for them to grab. So he'll have something to eat, most likely. I mean, even if you drafted something and you had to pick the highest unit, then he can eat that alone. And if If you draft an 11 or Nilfgaardian Knight, he's just like a Cynthia then. And next we got Eskel, summon Vesmir and Lambert. You're not going to get the Vesmir and Lambert. Margareta of Artuza. Reset a unit and toggle its lock status. Lock's probably be alright. She's probably not going to be the best, though, just because of the reset. I mean, if they run a boosting unit, then yeah, she's going to get you some value. And if they don't, then she's not. And not every deck's going to have like crazy high boosting. But now that Mahakam guards boost more instead of just giving like a +3 boost, she might get you some more value that way. But then you need the boost to be on the unit that you want to lock anyway. More of it is a more consistent one. Toggle unit's lock status. If it was enemy, half its power. Engine cards will probably be pretty good unless your opponent has a bunch of answer cards and he locks an answer card. And even if there is no unit for you to lock, he still does half its power. If they just have a big unit. Crones, all the crones. All the crones are bad. Nithril deals 6 damage to an enemy, increased by 1 for each Wild Hunt unit in your hand. Nope. Need lots of Wild Hunt units. Toad Prince, draw a unit, then consume a unit in your hand, boost self by its power. This guy's going to be pretty good. He's actually going to be one of my favorite ones to draft if I get the choice to get him. Because you're going to probably end up with some dead cards, as we see in just the silver and gold slots. There's plenty of times that you could end up with just 3 choices that all suck and don't do you anything. Toad Prince will help you deck's consistency a little bit because you can draw a new card and just eat something useless in your hand and get rid of it. And make it less useless since it boosts him up. Because I mean, if you had to draft a Combi, Siri, or some other 1 power card that's crap, then he can eat that instead of just a 1. Torval! When your opponent passes, flip over and boost 2 units on each side by 2. 14 power silver, not too bad. 14 I think is not too bad. 16 is pretty good. And then anything above that's just amazing. Brain, deal damage equal to this unit's power. If a unit was destroyed, boost all other dryads and ambush units in your hand, deck, and board by 1. It's a 12 power silver. That's like... It does damage though, but it's only 6 damage, so it pretty much can't deal with anything. You need some sort of hand buff or something in your hand for it to get you some more value. And even in that case, just the bronze sword masters will be better, so no. Same with Arlen. Even if you drafted 5 Elven allies, I wouldn't pick her up because you're going to have to play out all 5 in a single round for her to even come out. So just consider a 6 power. Dragbondo, strengthen 2 units in your graveyard by 3. BX pretty good if you got a decent amount of reviving stuff, but you're going to need that reviving stuff like Sigdrifa, Priest of Freya, and for Priest of Freya to even work, you're going to need soldiers, so most likely not going to work unless your draft's already going in that direction. Holgard Black Hand deals 6 damage if the unit was destroyed, strengthen the highest unit in your graveyard by 3. Again, he's better than Brain, just because of his secondary effect. I mean, if you have a revive card, you can make use out of that, but he's still as crappy as Brain because he's 12 power and 6 damage doesn't kill like anything. Peter saw or Gwenleave, reset an ally and strengthen it by 3, or reset an enemy and weaken it by 3. He's going to be pretty good. Because if they run any damaging units or anything like that and they damage your units, you're going to always have that option, and then he's going to be really killer if they have a boost unit. Having the 2 options is going to make a difference, I think. Because just having an option to reset a boosted unit, means that you have to count on your opponent running a boosted unit. But in this case, you can, if he runs boosting units or something that injures your units, you're going to get value out of them. Sarret deals 7 damage to an enemy, set a revealed opposing unit's power to 1. Or set a revealed opposing unit's power to 1. 13 power, silver. Just under alright. So he's not that bad. If you don't have anything better, yeah, 7 damage isn't that bad. He's slightly better than Holgard and Brain. And if somehow you drafted Cynthia, if you drafted a Cynthia and this guy, that'd actually be a pretty cruel combo, unless they have their disloyal unit in their hand. Harold Houndsnout, spawn Wilfred, Wilhelm, and Wilmar. Deathwish, strengthen random ally by 3. Deathwish, deal 1 damage to all enemies on the opposing row. And Deathwish, if it's your opponent's turn, spawn a bear on the opposite row. So, that means that if it's your turn, by the way, because it goes on your opponent's side, so it counts as their unit. I got a bit confused by that one time. If you have some damaging units that can target your side of the field, that like if you got screwed and had to draft an archer or something, it'd be alright. Because if you pull off the full combo, that's 17, 20 power silver, 19 because the 1 damage you have to do. That's pretty good. Plus however many damage units you do 1 damage to on the enemy's row. It'd be pretty good if you have anything that can damage your side. I mean, as long as you don't have to like pop an Elzur's Thunder to kill off the 1 power unit, then yeah. Striga, deal 8 damage to a non-monster unit, 14 power silver. It's actually going to be not too bad in Arena. Just straight up 8 damage. And that deals with a lot of things. Farseers, Hawker Smugglers, plenty of things like that that are going to be really good to draft. Jotun, move 3 enemies to opposite row and deal 2 damage to them. If that row is under Biting Frost, deal 3 damage instead. Consider him a 12 power silver. It gets to move things around. He'd be a fun one to draft if you got like a movement thing going on, but you can't draft a whole movement deck, and I don't think weather's going to be that good, so the deal 3 damage probably isn't going to happen for me at least. I mean, if you draft a full frost deck and you're just like YOLOing all in on weather, then yeah, because you'll have white frost for options, frost, but you're not going to get the frost hound, so it's going to be such a low tempo play. Weather's going to be horrid. Joanna, heal an ally, then boosted by the amount healed. This card will be alright. No, not alright. It's probably gonna be pretty crappy. You're gonna, like, the best thing to do with it right now is to use Stregaboard to draw a Siri Dash, and then boost her up and get her to like a 47 power. But that you're not gonna have a deck built around that in draft mode. I mean, in best case, maybe something you had out that's like a 12 power got hurt by weather or something, and you could get maybe 18 value out of it. In the best case, rare best case scenario, so not good. Whenever an enemy is damaged, boost self by 1 during. If you have a bunch of lacerates, Arachis Venoms, and things that do multiple damage, yeah, he'll be worth it. If not, no. Like if you picked up some warships, because warships might be your best choice, or a lacerates or stuff like that. That's just, yeah, tremors. He'd be alright. And that'd be something your opponent would have to deal with if you actually get to pop it off. Vesmir, not good. Mirktabrak to deal 2 damage, repeat 2 times. 11 power. Oh, repeat, yeah. 11 power, not good. And you can't like even set up for Scorch for him anymore. They pretty much totally killed that card. Cleaver, deal 1 damage for each card in your hand. This guy's interesting now. If you play him at the very beginning of the game, he's 16 power, which isn't that great, and they have to play a 9 power unit for you to get the full value. Be kind of fun to draft. I mean, there's no better choice. Because at what point would he, once you drop under 7 cards, he'd probably start, he's under 14 value, then he's not better, but I don't know, I might take him over a Brain. Just because that's a couple turns to play it. Melina. After 2 turns, flip over and charm the highest bronze or silver enemy with 5 power or less on turn start. Risky, but can net you lots of value. I mean, you're going to be seeing weird cards in draft mode just because people had no better choice but to pick up that unit, so there's probably going to be a 5 power unit you can end up stealing. In which case he's a 17. But if you face that deck that has no unit that you can steal, then it's not going to be that great. But if you have some damaging units, then you can just make something under 5 anyway, so she could be pretty good for 17. Even if you only pick up a 4, then she's 15, and that's still really good. Champion of Hav, duel an enemy. He's only a 7 power, so best case you duel 7 into 7, and he gets you 14 value. I mean, if you have no cards to respond to your opponent's stuff yet, he'd be worth picking up. If it's like later in the draft and you still haven't gotten Elzur's Thunder or Mage or something that does a decent amount of damage, so that way you can take care of some of the engine cards that your opponent might have drafted, then I'd pick up this guy. Just because he's going to take care of that Hawker Smuggler or something that you're having trouble with and obviously have no way to deal with. But besides that, if you have mages or Elzur's Thunder and stuff, they're just better. AUKUS, toggle 2 units lock statuses. Yeah, this is pretty much answer every engine, and it's a double lock, so that's worth it. It doesn't even need a secondary effect. Plus, if they run a lock unit and they lock your engine, then you can just unlock and lock one of theirs. Fun times. Hubert, drain all boosts from units in your deck. You're gonna need boost in your deck, and we don't know if we can draft like things like Fultist yet as our leader. I think it's just gonna be the RNG leaders. If that's the case, this guy's probably not gonna be picked up that often. But if you can draft things like Fultist, this guy would be amazing. Like if you drafted Fultist and you get the choice for Hubert, he will probably net you some decent value. Let's see, 10 cards left in your deck and he's a 17. So up to 8. As long as you have 8 cards left in your deck and he drains all the boost, that would be pretty big play. Tavius, single use after 4 turns, deal 1 damage to all enemies, then return to your hand on turn start. He's 8 power. Good luck having him survive and not get locked or removed with all the removal in the game. But if his effect pops off, it's going to be really good. Another one of those where it's a pretty bad choice, but if you have the choice between him or cards that are just going to do nothing, then you might as well try to take him and try to get him to work, because he might win you that game sometime when your opponent has no removal. Cypern Welly, weaken a unit by 4. 12 power silver. He's crappy. He's backers or try to against Consume. Like he's the backup. He's the silver bullet card for Consume if it ever like just became too strong to deal with. Odorin, move to a random row and boost all allies on it by 1 on turn start. Not going to have a swarming deck. If you do have a swarming deck, he's a risky pickup still because he's 8. But he could win you games again, like Octavius. So there's nothing better than pick him up. And if there's nothing better and you have a swarming deck, or you have a bunch of cards that they have to deal with, and then maybe your Odorin will go off. Besides that, he's not going to get you anything really, because he has to boost at least 6 units for him to get you 14 value. That's quite a few turns for him to stay around. Brewis, that's a Crohn's. That's not going to work. Ifrit, spawn 3 lesser Ifrits to the right of this unit, which they all deal 1 damage, so he's a 14 power silver. He's good. Dennis Cranmer, strengthen all other dwarfs in your hand, deck, or board, and on board by 1. He's an 8 power silver. Unless, again, you draft a bunch of dwarfs. I don't see that happening. There's going to be that one guy who like drafts a total dwarf deck and just wrecks. They'd probably instantly be 12-0. Or no, 9-0 for Gwent. Morin, when a unit is played from either hand on your opponent's side, flip over and deal 7 damage to that unit. Best case, she's a 15. And she doesn't even kill most of the things that are annoying. Like, yeah. I mean, she could kill Hawker Smuggler, I guess. And you have to count on your opponent not playing around it. Like if I see an ambush unit, I'm probably going to test the waters with like a 1 power unit or something, if I can. Resilience, whenever dwarf ally appears, boost self by 1. Again, full dwarf deck, good luck. Besides that, he has resilience, so he's not the worst. He's better than Dennis Cranmer. And resilience can stop you from the dry pass round 2. Donner and Hinder, toggle units lock stats to move a bronze unit from your opponent's graveyard to yours. Not the greatest lock unit. He's an 8 and it moves a bronze over. But if you have something like Priest of Freya, maybe, for some reason draft that and you have some soldiers, and maybe you can get some value out of him by taking one of their soldiers that they drafted. Besides that, he's just a lock unit. And I'd go for damage over lock units anytime, because a lot of the damaging cards just take care of cards that you'd block anyway. False Siri. Spying boosts self by 1 on turn start, and when your opponent passes, move to the opposite row. Death Wish. Destroy the lowest unit on the row. She is so risky to play, because if they have a lock unit, you just gave them power. So I would not pick her up, because she can... There's going to be some guy with a random lock unit. I mean, I'd draft an Aukaz just because it's a pretty good card to deal with any engines that my opponent drafted. And then if they drop a False Siri on me, yeah, I'd use it. And plus, they can just Zer's Thunder or something. That's the only time you get value, because you eat the 9 power from their Zer's Thunder, then you destroy the lowest unit on that row. Hefty Helge. Deal 1 damage to all enemies except those on the opposite row. This unit was revealed. Deal damage to all enemies instead. So you just have to count on its opposite row. So as long as they play... It's not too bad, I guess. Need 6 units that aren't on the row that you play it on for him to be 14. Another one that's not that great, but not that good. I mean, not that great, but not that bad. Because it will work out in some cases, and it's not like totally situational. Plus, when you face that swarm deck, this thing will net you a lot of value. Giant Boar. Destroy a random ally, then boost self by 10. This thing, people, I can't even figure out how to make this work in standard mode, trying to set it up with like a bunch of 1 power units. Because even then, it's just 17 power. I guess if you drafted some Death Wish units, because that's possible, you can draft monsters, Death Wish, and a Giant Boar, and destroy it. But I mean, even Cyclops would be better than that, so... Nope. Maybe Selena Harpy Eggs. There you go. If he pops a Selena Harpy Egg, he's basically an 18 power silver. There's your best play with him. Ruin. Strengthen all other insectoid and cursed units in your hand, deck, and board by 1. You're probably not going to draft enough cursed and insectoid units for him to work. Olgierd. Resurrect this unit on round start and weaken by half. No. Carryover is going to matter somewhat, but it's not going to be like the biggest thing in the world. Because you're all going to have random cards. You're not going to have dedicated decks where like, oh, I need Final Say because I want to play Siri Nova and I don't want my opponent to Igni me or Scorch me. So Final Say is not going to be the biggest deal in the world in draft mode. It's still going to matter, but it's just not going to be as devastating. So carryover, weakening yourself in tempo that much and losing the round, because you had to play a 9 power, is not going to be the best. But if there's nothing better, then hey, you got a free carryover card that's 9 power silver. Maybe if you drafted King Braun, if they let us draft actual leaders and not just the new leaders. Johnny. Discard a card, then make a default copy of the same color from your opponent's starting deck in your hand. I think he's going to be alright. Probably not the best, because it's just a copy. You don't actually take it from them. But I mean, again, you're probably going to end up with a dead card or two from drafting, because unless you get really lucky, and then he's going to help you filter that. But he's only a 9 power play, so there's that. But if he ends up saving you more power by taking a card from your opponent, like you drafted a combi, you throw a combi away and you get something that'll be better, because pretty much anything's better than a combi. So yeah, if you got some dead cards in your deck, especially dead golds, because there's quite a few situations with the gold slots where you could end up with 3 bad choices, I'd grab him just to hope that your opponent has a good gold. Siren Ape Esnilin. Toggle unit's lock status and move it to this unit's row on its side. He's a lock, he's alright. Damaging cards are better. This guy's better. Donner and Hinder in most cases, I think. I mean, this guy moves something around, I guess, so... He's just a lock, and we're at the point where The removal is so high that locking things over killing them usually isn't worth it. Sheldon Skaggs, move all allies on this row to random rows and boost self by 1 for each. If you know you have this guy and you have a swarming deck, yes, because he's going to net you a decent amount of value. All you need is 6 units on the same row. But then you're setting yourself up for your opponent's lacerate that they might have drafted, but you can't play around everything at once. So he's not that bad. He's not the greatest at all. Blue Boy Lugos, spawn a Spectral Whale on the enemy row, which moves to a random row and deals 1 damage to all other units on it. So you need 3 to negate the blue whale, and then you need another 6 damage after that for it to be really good. And then when they lock it, you're sad. Not that great. More Varg, worse than Olweird. Savonridge, draw a card, then discard a card. Heh, again, better than Johnny. No, not better than Johnny. He's gonna be alright. Because, again, you're probably gonna draft dead cards, and this is something to help you deal with that, because you're gonna draw a new card, and then you can discard your dead card. So another card that you pick up if your draft's not going so well. Swears, choose an enemy or revealed unit in your opponent's hand to move all copies of it from their deck to the graveyard. No. Nobody's gonna draft. I mean, unless they get really lucky and like draft 4 of 1 bronze unit, but the chances of that happening is so abysmal. So he's most likely never gonna get you value. And it's not like you're running a mill deck and you're ever going to mill them out, so maybe getting rid of that 1 unit won't help you anyway. Vincent, destroy the armor of all units and boost self by the value destroyed. This depends on how many people draft armor. I can't judge this one, because there are a lot of armor cards in the draft that might be halfway decent, like Thunderbolt Potion, if you have no better choice for the bronze choice. So people might end up having armor. There's just a couple cards like that, like I had in the goals, where I couldn't judge, because that's something that we need to see, how often armor units and stuff are being played. Of course, he's going to be bad news bears when your opponent drafts that guy with 4 armor who boosts himself when his armor's gone. But hey, if you got that guy, then yeah, this guy's pretty good. So if you've got some armor units that get effects when their armor's gone, just because you had nothing better to grab, definitely pick him up. And besides that, he might be pretty good just for destroying your opponent's armor, which might be a thing, because things like Prince Dennis is going to be amazing. Henry Varatar, no. Conceal any number of units if allies boost them by 2 if enemies deal 2 damage. I'm not running a reveal deck. Neke, return 3. Yeah, there is like no situation where this guy could be good. Unless you drafted a whole reveal deck, but even then, what's the chances of that? For some reason you're drafting alchemists and fire scorpions and things like that, then yeah, this guy could be pretty game winning. But that's more draft dependent than if the card is just straight up good, and he's not good by himself. Return 3 bronze or silver units from your graveyard to your deck. You can't bring out bronze units unless you got a way to bring out those bronze units they return to your deck. It's just not going to be that great. Like maybe you just drafted that random 4 power when you end up 20 power points behind, it comes out. Even then it wouldn't be that great, because you're going to end up 20 points behind again for that to work. Botchling, summoning a lubricant. You know what? There's a lot of 9 power units and stuff that just don't do anything for you, so you could always draft this if there's no better option and just count as a 10 power silver and maybe get lucky and draft the Lumberkin too to make it actually worth something. But that's probably not going to happen. It might happen now and then just because Lumberkin's 10 power. Like, there's some units that just don't do anything, like Ruin, Giant Boar. Like, say you got a choice between Ruin, Giant Boar, and then I'd pick the Botchling because he's just straight up 10, and the other 2 do me nothing. So then maybe later on I draft the Lumberkin. Elias, whenever you draw this unit or return it to your deck, boost self by 2. You're going to have to draw this thing at least 2 times, or have it in your starting hand, throw it back, then draw it again for it to be worth anything, and that's going to be 16. There's nothing better. again, but ugh, trying to pull that off. It's going to be a dead card in a lot of cases. Dejenge Fret, holy crap, there's so many silver cards. Dejenge Fret, deal 1 damage to 2 allies and strength itself by 2 for each. 12 power. You're going to need the combo pieces to go with him, which are really hard to pull, like the one that when he receives damage transforms into 12 power bear. If you have those already, sure. If not, he's a 12 power silver. Not the greatest, but better than some. Elbrick, each player draws a card, the opponent's card is revealed. He's a 10 power silver, because what? Unless you got like an amazing superior draft, then you have the same chance of drawing crap as your opponent does, so it's not like you're trying to mill them out or anything. It's a round extender, I guess, if you got a deck that's like, if you're actually going with weather. So that type of thing might be good, or long ships, since it technically extends the game by 1 more turn. So then you get 12 if you have 1 long ship out, or 2. Goliath, Goliath. Boost self by 7. Whenever this unit is damaged, deal 2 damage to self. No. They're probably gonna... There's 1 power damage and stuff. I mean, Huh. This guy, actually, now that I think about it, he might be pretty good. Because, I mean, he's 17. Yeah, he gets hit by something. He gets -2. But he'd be great bait for your opponent's removal. Because they're probably going to waste it on him trying to just get advantage on that +2 that they get on the removal. So if he eats an Azur's Thunder, I'd consider that maybe a win. Because then what? He's a 6? I don't know. Removal bait. That's about the best thing he's going to be. Nivelin. Move all units on a row to random rows. That helps you none, unless you drafted the Pit Trap, and then you pray that they didn't draft a mage, when there's 5 different mages for them to draft from. Stregobor. Truce. Each player draws a unit, sets its power to 1. I guess if you drafted a bunch of 1 power units, slave drivers wouldn't be too bad in draft mode at all. Slave drivers would probably be really good. But if you even have like a couple 10 power or higher units, then this guy just has the same amount of chance of screwing you as he does helping you. And you could always give your opponent their disloyal unit and make that a 1 power. I've done that twice with this card when I try to run it in standard, and that's no fun. He's never drawn me my disloyal unit and made it a 1 power though. That'd be fun. Jermaine Piquant. Spawn 2 cows on each side of this unit. He's a 14 power silver with some swarming. I mean, hey, if you got a swarming deck going, definitely good. Even if you don't, he's a 14 power silver that's slightly more vulnerable to a lacerate than others, but he can be better than some of these other choices. And especially if you got a swarming deck going, like with if you draft an Alba Cavalry or something, or Yenkon, then he'd be worth it. Azure Var Anahid. Return 2 bronze or silver cards from either graveyard to their respective decks. Nope. Only time this thing gets you any good value is if your opponent somehow discarded Olgierd. Or, yeah, Olgierd, and you get to return it to their deck. Or you have some way to filter out the card that you're returning. Like maybe you drafted that really consistent deck that just thins out so well that you end up with 0 cards at the end because you drafted a bunch of things that thin out your deck, then yes, then because then you could basically draw into any silver or bronze that you wanted again. But outside of that, just picking it up normally, not that great. The Guardian. Add a lesser Guardian to top your opponent's deck. Chances of a straight up 6 vanilla 6 power being worse than what they were going to draw into anyway. Not the highest, not the greatest, but 3 power worth, and they can just mulligan it away anyway. No. Iris Companions. Move a card from your deck to your hand, then discard a random card. Oh! Ooh, if played right, this guy will be crazy. Because again, you're probably going to end up with dead cards in your draft, and you have dead cards in your hand, well then just grab any card from your deck and pray that it doesn't discard that card. Because if it doesn't discard that card and it discards a card that you was going to get net you like nothing anyway, this guy would definitely have been worth it. Ranavid the Incessant. Resurrect on a random row with 1 power on turn end. Crew. If you got some machines going. Maybe that's why the Nilfgaardian Combat Engineer has crew, just for draft mode. Besides that, it's not like you can count on him for carryover or anything anymore. So he has an 11 power silver. But I guess he adds 1. And he can maybe eat some weather damage if you didn't draft a mage, which you're probably not going to do too well if you didn't draft a mage. Because you're going to probably run into that one guy who's trying to run weather or something. I don't know. If you draft machines, yeah, but he's an 11 power. The resurrecting effect's kind of nice, but they can make him up to a 14 if you play him round 1 at best, because you get +1 round 2 and +1 round 3. Best, swap up to 2 cards. She's great. Yeah. Get rid of 2 crappy cards in your hand and hope for something better. I'll take that. Especially if my draft's not going too well. Definitely pick up a Vest. I mean, if it's going great, even if it's going great, like it's a 12 power that lets me swap out 2 cards that won't be the best in that situation. Pretty good. Thaler. Okay, this is for all the disloyal units. I'd only draft 1. I don't even know if I'd draft 1. Actually, I mean, card advantage is going to matter, but it's not going to be the biggest thing in the world. Maybe if you get an Igni, then I'd draft all the disloyal units I could, because I could always just keep playing them than to Igni them when there's too many. I'm wondering how they're going to handle disloyal units in Arena. But you're giving your opponent 13 power. That's a lot in the draft mode, I think. Draw 2 cards, keep 1, and return the other to the top of your deck. Return the other to your deck. Probably the best ones to draft will be Thaler or Cantarella or Yavin. The monsters one's going to be total crap because moving a unit does you nothing. And where's... There he is, discarding. Look at the top 2 cards, draw 1, discard the other. I mean, if it was, look at the top 2 cards, take them and then discard a card from your hand, yeah, that'd be really good, but the way it is now, like, you need to have a pretty bad draft for that to even have a hope of helping you. So besides Disloyals, Manticore, he's 13 power. There's bronzes that are just like, no, Guardian Knight, he's 12 power and has armor, so no. But hey, if you have other crappy choices, then yeah, because 13 power is the highest you're going to get, then I'd take them over Henry Swears. Like Henry, if I got a Henry Swears and the Manticore, I'm picking up the Manticore. Jota and Denim deal 1 damage to self. It's 12 power silver, slightly worse than Manticore. So just as bad as Manticore. If 12 power is your best choice, take it. And then the disloyal units, which I think Thaler is the best. Nah, Cantarella in draft mode actually might be the best, because you get the other card to your bottom of your deck, but then it suffers from the same situation as Ulivark, where if the second card is something that's actually decent and not totally horrible, then you don't want it on the bottom of your deck. But if it is something horrible, then you can basically get rid of it. So I think Thaler or Cantarella would probably be the best one. I mean, yeah, Yavin can get you a special or a unit, but unless you only drafted like a couple specials that are really good, then it's going to be hard for that to work. So that's just my thoughts on the silvers. That took a bit longer than the golds, but we'll do the bronzes another time, and that's just my pre-arena thoughts on the silvers. I have my golds one up on my channel for my thoughts on the golds too, because I did that one like a week ago. And then I'll do the bronzes tomorrow probably, or we'll see what the video announcement is on arena mode and maybe get some more info. Then I'll decide after that. But that's my thoughts on silvers, because I'm hyped for arena mode again. And I always play arena mode in all the card games, so That's it for this one, guys. See you guys in the next one, and have a good one.